Hey, yo, do you know why you can't lend rice to strangers during the ghost festival? If you do that, it's said that the whole family might drop dead all of a sudden. Well, it happened that on that day, it was Grandma's 100th birthday. And then this guy showed up at our door with a bowl in his hand, asking to borrow 7 grains of rice. Uncle thought it was bad luck and drove that guy away. But Grandma hurriedly counted out 7 grains of rice and ran after him. And then she never came back. In the end, there was no sign of her, neither alive nor dead. Uncle was wailing and shouting that the person who borrowed the rice had taken Grandma's life away. The family searched for 3 days. On the first day, Auntie broke her leg and third uncle bumped his head and got it bleeding. On the second day, my mom burned her hand while cooking. Granny Six in the village said that since Grandma wasn't in the world of the living anymore and couldn't be laid to rest properly, we descendants would be haunted and troubled. Uncle was so scared. He begged Granny Six to help find Grandma's body. Granny Six lived at the end of the village, and she was the witch with supernatural powers in our village. The most amazing thing about her is that she can find the living and search for the dead. Granny Six took the headscarf that Grandma used to wear. After chanting something for a while, she shouted loudly, "Arise!" Then the headscarf fluttered and landed on the rice bed at home. And I just knew right away that it was that person who borrowed the rice that killed Grandma. Uncle got all emotional and threw himself onto the rice vat. Granny Six's expression didn't change at all. But I always felt that there was something kind of odd about the way she looked at Uncle. Borrowing rice is like borrowing a life. You said your mom chased after that guy with 7 grains of rice in her hand. Uncle nodded with his eyes red. Little Dua was there too, and he saw it as well. Granny Six looked at me, who was hiding by the door. Little Dua, what did that man look like? Everyone present turned to look at me. I swallowed hard and stammered a bit, saying, I was playing marbles at the door. I didn't see what that guy looked like. It's just that he was dripping water all the time and smelled of rotten fish. I frowned. That smell seemed to linger around my nose again. Granny Six lowered her head, mumbling and counting with her fingers. She muttered, "Water, the smell of rotten fish." Then she took off running towards the pond at the entrance of the village. Everyone came to their senses. It seemed that Granny Six had probably figured out where Grandma was. Well, we saw Granny Six stopped by the pond at the entrance of the village. "Go and find the corpse fishers," she said. "Is she right in this water?" But when we found 2 corpse fishers from the town, neither of them dared to go into the water. They all said that the pond in Shintang village was really spooky and that their skills weren't good enough. They told our family to go to the town and rent some machines to pump the water out. Your grandma's standing in the pond with her eyes wide open. As long as she doesn't come out of this water, your family won't have a single day of peace. In the evening, Uncle gathered everyone together. Well, you all know the situation. To hire people to block the water inlet of the pond and then rent machines to pump out the water and fish out the body. It'll cost more than $2,000. We 3 families have to pool the money together. Auntie, with her lame leg, kept muttering, "That old hag. She's still causing trouble even after she's dead. I don't have any money. I'm a bachelor. Usually, it's Mom who gives me a hand. How could I have any money?" Third uncle had his head wrapped in gauze. Third uncle had that careless look on his face, which suddenly made Uncle really angry. "That's our own mother. How can you be so heartless?" said Auntie with her eyes red. "What do you mean by heart? Anyway, we've all suffered disasters already. Only you and Big Brother are okay. Are you two just going to pay up since you're so scared?" Third uncle gave Uncle and Auntie a sideways look, and in the end, we all left on bad terms. When I was going to bed at night, I always felt like there was a stinky fish smell in the room. Drip, drip. It seemed like water was dripping onto my face. I shrank my head and burrowed deeper into the quilt, too scared to open my eyes. Dua, Dua, wake up. Something's happened to Uncle. Let's go and have a look quickly. I was woken up by Mom. It was still dark outside, and that stinky fish smell around my nose was getting even stronger. Mom, I can smell the stinky fish smell that was on the person who borrowed the rice that day. You must be having a nightmare. Hurry up and get up. Granny Six asked us all to go over there. Mom didn't pay attention to what I said and quickly found my shoes for me. Uncle was dead. He'd fallen headfirst into Grandma's rice vat. But I remembered that there wasn't much rice left in the rice vat. Through the gaps between the adults, I took a peek and saw that the rice vat was full of blood. The bright red grains of rice were all over Uncle's head. Auntie had already passed out. Auntie was leaning against the wall, vomiting. Third uncle was squatting at the door, smoking. Rice is life. I'm afraid your grandma wants to come back and turn into an evil spirit by possessing her own body. We need to nail the body down and bring it inside. Hurry up and fish the body out. Granny Six said that if we didn't, the whole family would be wiped out. Grandma, the evil spirit is getting stronger day by day. Before, it just made the family members get hurt. But now it's already been able to kill Uncle. Third uncle's face turned as white as a sheet. I'll go to the town to rent the machines at dawn, he said. Auntie and Auntie gradually came to their senses too. We pulled our money together to rent more machines and tried our best to drain the water before noon. Otherwise, someone else would die tonight. I'll go and prepare some things first, said Granny Six, and then she went back home. Just like that, on the 5th day since Grandma went missing, the situation gradually unfolded with the rumbling of the machines. The water was slowly pumped into the big river nearby. But Grandma was standing right in the middle of the pond, motionless. She was still wearing the new clothes that we bought specially for her birthday. The corpse fishers stepped forward to light some incense to guide the corpse. However, even in this sweltering summer day, they tried several lighters, but still couldn't light the incense for guiding the corpse. Granny Six was standing by the side of the pond, and her expression became more and more solemn. Little Dua, did you really see the person who borrowed the rice? I was stunned for a moment and then nodded solemnly. I saw him carrying a bucket. Granny Six sighed and said, "What was in the bucket?" "There were snails in it," I replied. I blurted it out and then froze. How on earth did I know there were snails? But Granny Six didn't ask any more questions. Because the corpse fishers had invited their master to come and help, and finally they managed to get Grandma's body onto the shore. I was curious and kept looking at the feet of the body again and again. But I didn't see any nails at all. Why did Granny Six say that Grandma was nailed to the bottom of the pond? After that, under Granny Six's instructions, everyone put Grandma's body into the prepared coffin. Uncle's coffin was also parked in the yard. The two coffins were both pitch black and placed side by side. Auntie followed Granny Six's instructions. She tied up a mouse, 2 rabbits, 3 roosters, and 4 black dogs that had been prepared beside the coffins. Some brave people from the village gathered around the entrance of the yard, watching. I was protected by my mother and stood in the corner of the yard. Granny Six cut the necks of the mouse, rabbits, and other animals that Auntie had prepared one by one to let the blood out. Then she smeared the mixed blood on the outside of Grandma's coffin. After that, Granny Six kept chanting, "My father is my father, I am my father's son, my son is my son, my father is my son." Finally, Granny Six used the blood-smeared long nails to nail the animal corpses onto Grandma's coffin. She hammered again and again, and it seemed that she was really struggling with it. I felt that the banging sound was right in my ears, and it made me a bit uncomfortable. I shook my head a little, and then Mom reached out and touched my head. "What's the matter, Dua?" I snuggled up in Mom's arms. I shook my head. Then Granny Six asked cousin from Uncle's family to hold the rice and sprinkle it into Uncle's coffin. People in the village all said that that vat of rice was Uncle's life. Uncle's life was borrowed by Grandma's ghost, and then he became. "Bury the eldest one beside your mother in the ground tonight,"